therapy, talking to people in general, being vulnerable in general, allows you the opportunity to realize you're not the only one going through it. And there's something, that statement, misery loves company. So does experience. All right. So you experience a win, you experience grief, you experience whatever. It's something very comforting to know I'm not the only one, or for someone to reiterate to you that you're not actually crazy.
Yeah.
No, your brain works a particular way. You've experienced some things that make it very difficult for you to show up in certain ways that people expect you to. That doesn't make you crazy. And I can tell you that because I literally talk to people all day long. All right. And I have folks that's like, oh, I know you think I'm crazy. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I've seen the crazy spectrum. You're like bred there. I'm just playing.
It's like, no.
Comfortable conversations. This is going to be back. Until then, welcome to Comfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Jazz Kirk, where we dive into the greatest gift life can offer, discomfort. Today's episode, I'm so ecstatic to be back and recording with you guys. It's been a few months off, and today's episode I thought was so timely because as I consider Comfortable Conversations and why I created this platform, it was truly about having those really uncomfortable conversations, bringing them to the surface so that we can begin to heal. We are a generation of people who are unwell. And though we may pretend and, have the greatest and most materialistic and luxurious things and have great friendships and all of that, we are all still unwell. We can have a lot of success. We can have a lot of money, all those things. And so to journey through uncomfortable conversations, I think it's very important to sit with experts, professionals, individuals who have walked the path. No one on this platform will you have, because I truly believe this is important, you should see someone who's exemplified that, who can give you the example, who can show you the way, because when you are on your journey or you are in the belly of the beast, you don't need suggestions of ideas, of concepts, of plans. You need people who can help you. For today's episode, I'm going to get real comfortable because I am sitting with Jitana Okoye of J. Okoye Wellness. She is a licensed clinician, health coach, community leader, speaker. Like, she is an overall awesome person. And I think when we consider the concept of mental health awareness, she is an individual who's going to help you put into action and practice tools, tips, and just living a better life. So Jitana, welcome. You know I love you, girl. So
happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. This is her second episode because the first one, if y'all did not watch it, was about perfectionism and self-identity and giving yourself grace. And the feedback we got from that episode was overwhelmingly positive. I had so many people say, I started looking for a therapist, or I want a therapist like Jitana. As a Black woman, they wanted someone they could relate to. But in general, it just did what we wanted people to do, is seek help,
100%.
So welcome. How you doing today?
Doing good. Happy to be back in the area.
In the area, in town. Y'all, I have so many questions because I want to use this platform to be an opportunity to ask the tough questions, to ask the questions I know you all are thinking of, to give you facts and data. Like right now, 81% of Americans recognize the importance of mental health. Y'all recognize it. We know the awareness is there. Yet 52.6% of individuals have never tried therapy or psychiatry. So y'all are aware of it, but half of us are like, no, thank you, not for me. And I actually have friends or family, coming from a Black African-American family. When I had a sibling who committed suicide, I remember my family said, hey, we're not going to tell people that. Yeah. And so I was like, What do you
That's
mean?
what happened.
That's what happened. And so I get this, like, there's the perception of, but something else that I found as I was taking notes for this is social permission. The data is showing that it's not information that people are seeking social information. They're seeking social permission. So the single biggest predictor of whether someone enters care, seeks help, is the people are waiting for approval, or people are waiting for their circle of someone to do it first. So that's one of my first questions. Like, do you see patients or individuals, or when you're speaking with communities, like, are you dealing with someone who they're the first in their family, they're the first in their friend group?
Absolutely. I think the majority of my clients are minorities, African American, African, Indian, a number of minorities, racial minorities. And they're typically the first people that have ever gone to therapy. And they typically got there because they're dealing with cultural dynamics, family dynamics, and mental health things that they have just set to the side that are now hindering them from doing something that they want to do. So absolutely seeing it. And I think in part of the reason why I started my practice was that same thing, that stigma of you need somebody that looks like you when you're coming to a place that you're already questioning and wondering if I even want to be here.
So I'm going to take a step back, because when you talk about, like, the people who are coming, there's situations and circumstances that are happening. What does that look like? Because if our audience is, it doesn't matter what you look like, but what are some examples so that people understand, like, this is not only you? Because I think that actually hinders people from going to, like, well, I'm used to, this is how we do things, so it's fine.
Yes. So not being able to have distance from your norm will make everything feel like a norm, right? And so even my dad, when I first started being a therapist, you know, I was telling him that my little cousin was in therapy, and he was like, she shouldn't be telling people that. And I was like, you do know I'm a therapist. Like, you need to go to therapy. And he was like, why would I go to therapy? And I gave him examples. And he was like, oh, I never thought about that. You know, he grew up in the 50s and 60s. And I was like, you never were able to talk about cancer. You weren't able to talk about the racism you experienced. You weren't talking about any of those things. And he was like, wow. And so not being able to see that the things that are normal to you are not actually normal and have that challenge.
Yeah.
That is what I see coming into the space, that people are coming in and they tell me what's happening to them or what they're experiencing. And they just say it like, I drank water today. And I'm like,
that is very traumatic experience, and you've numbed yourself to it. And just because you've exposed yourself over and over again does not mean it's okay.
And so a lot of our work is creating distance without shame. That, hey, this is your family dynamic. This is your cultural dynamic. This is the upbringing that you had, and there's no shame in that. And that is not helping you.
Okay, listen, y'all. I'm giving y'all the facts, the number, the data. Okay. Men die by suicide at nearly 4 times the rate of women and represent close to 80% of all suicide deaths, yet are the least likely to seek help. Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Well, that's loaded. Again, right? Approval, right? A lot of times in general, men and women included, but men specifically, do not want to be a burden. I don't want to appear weak, and I don't want to appear like I'm not a man, because somehow being a man has been equated to not having emotion. We all know that that's not true because we're all human, right? So I was born with this makeup. And so it's that, right? That I'm hurting, but I don't feel like I can hurt. I don't feel like I have the space to hurt. I don't feel safe to hurt. I don't feel like, you know, I have the room to do that without my masculinity being questioned. I'm not good enough, whatever. And so a lot of times people aren't seeking help, and the stigma that if I'm going to see someone, to talk to someone about my problems, and I can't figure it out myself, what does that say about me?
But how do you take the awareness of, break the stigma and make it action, and have Black men or any man confident enough to entrust you with this weight of the vulnerability and carry it? Like, I tell people all the time when I've worked with therapists, and specifically you helped me see not that I was holding weight, that I had the strength to put it down. that was where I was just like, I don't have to carry this anymore. And so that's where I'm like, how do we move from that awareness to that action of like, let's put this down and be that safe space and advocate because we have began to do the work.
I think there's have to be a perspective shift, right? So seeking help in any form comes with something. Right. And so it's figuring out how do I shift my mindset that the help that I'm doing for one thing is the help that I'm doing for another. Prime example, we give it all the time. You go to the gym, you work out, you get a trainer. There's no stigma around having a trainer, but you are doing something to heal your body or work through your body or whatever. If you have a tooth problem, you go to a dentist because that's what they do. Right.
Yeah. They're an
expert. And so, or even if you want to have maintenance. Right. And so we run into that.
Massages,
it's like, let me go see an esthetician. Let me do these things. And you don't ever think of that like, well, something's wrong with me because I want to care for myself. And so it's shifting that perspective that if I need to talk to someone, that there's a problem, one, that something is wrong with me, that there's a deficit, or this means that I have some type of weakness, and understanding what a therapist is, what a coach is, and what they are not.
Yeah.
A therapist is not, my job is not to fix you or tell you where you're wrong or tell you any of that. My job is to sit with you and hold you accountable to who it is you say you want to be. That's it. And so when I have men specifically, that is a thing that is outlined of like, what do you want from this space? Because I'm going to tell you what I'm going to offer. I'm not going to fix you because I'm not a magician and I'm not God. Right? But I am going to hold space with you. So whatever it is you need to say, it's just creating a space of safety and understanding. It's a conversation. People ask me all the time, like, oh, I bet you're evaluating me. I bet you I'm not. Like, do you work for free? You work like, no, who just walks around doing that? No, I'm not. If I notice something, like, hey, you should probably talk to someone. Here's some information. Let me know if I can ever help you. And so my means of doing that in my community, having brothers and having a lot of men in my life, is simply that of literally my husband's friends, my brothers, my cousins. Hey, you ever need help finding somebody? Just let me know. And we literally talk through like, oh, well, what do you like? When you have a good conversation with somebody, what is it? What are the characteristics that they have?
But so this makes me wonder, like, when it comes to even the idea of therapy, I'm saying this and I'm taking the time to say it. Like, I think people think going to therapy is this like book a day at the spa. And sometimes it's like, even that, who do you want to become in this space? It is literally putting a mirror up to yourself and all of the things that you're like, hate it, don't like it, don't shed a light on there, we're not going down there. Therapy is like, what's under there, babe? Bring it to the forefront. And I think it's not talked enough about, like, that is hard. It is hard that when you start to go to therapy, you start to realize and you create distance and space with friendships that you're like,
yeah, that doesn't align with me anymore.
That doesn't align with me anymore. And I'm alone over here, but I'm not lonely over here. Yeah. As I get to know this new version of myself, and you may not fit in there. And that doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. Just allow me to go up this mountain. Yeah. With who's meant to continue to go up the mountain with me. And I think that is a question that I wonder, like, how do you help people, or in general, other practitioners within your space help people when they're like, I think therapy helps you shed. It doesn't, I think, help. It does help you shed.
Absolutely. In our practice, my clients, my clinicians' clients, even just in conversation with people, I always encourage folks to take inventory. Take inventory of yourself, right? So who do you want to be? Who were you? Because we need to know who you were. Because, that pops up sometimes, right? Who were you? Who can you show up as? And who do you want to be? And then take inventory of your relationships. Because we can love people to the ends of the earth and they still not be good for us in a particular season, right? That doesn't mean we're throwing them away, but sometimes, we make some distance. And so really just getting people to understand that the focus has to be on you. It's not a matter of hurting someone's feelings or, I don't believe in ghosting people. I do tell all of my clients that, like, we're not ghosting anyone, but we can make distance. And that doesn't always have to be this in-depth conversation. If we do plan to end something, we should probably have a conversation. But it's really understanding that you are shifting focus from what other people may experience or feel, and what is it that I'm feeling? And then why am I feeling that way? What are the reasons that have led me to this point, and how do I do something different?
But it feels selfish when you haven't chosen self first, when you haven't put yourself first most of the time. When you start to do that, yes, you feel selfish, or you have people lashing out at you and crashing out and saying... It's
selfish, it's feelings of guilt, and it's working through that too, of like, it's okay for you to prioritize yourself. And the discomfort of doing that is also the work. That, I want to fix it. I want to make them feel better. And it's like, well, how do you feel?
I struggled with, and I think a lot of people may relate to this, you are the person who's always repairing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until seeking help that I was exhausted from doing it. And when I say repair, when it's like, you're always the person who's having the uncomfortable conversation. You're always the one who, not necessarily, there's a mutual understanding of there's an apology and we move forward, but then you're the one putting the effort, and you're like, if it needs to be fixed, you're the one taping it all up.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we're good. And then it's like, but I'm tired. I'm exhausted from doing that. And I think so many people are like, if I stop doing that, who chooses me? Who shows up for me?
Yeah.
And that
is the distress I'm talking about, right? That to some degree, I am doing these things in order to gain worthiness for people to stay in my life, or to feel like this relationship is, meaningful, and that I have meaningful relationships in my life. And that's not to say don't repair, but it is to say, if you notice that you're exhausted by having to show up in a particular way and you're only doing it to feel loved, we got to evaluate, why do you do that?
Yeah.
That's not other people. That's a you thing.
That's a you thing. That's a you thing. Listen, the next one I'm going to get onto, since we're talking about relationships, are dating and dating apps.
Yeah.
The data says dating app users show 2.51 times higher odds of psychological distress and 1.9 times higher rates of depression compared to non-users. And this is from 2026 a meta-analysis of this. 64.4% of studies on dating apps found negative mental health and well-being outcomes. Daily users show the highest rates of depression and anxiety. And unhealed wounds show up directly in relationship patterns, where anxiety is creating avoidance and seeking reassurance, or depression creating emotional withdrawal. And so I know you have clients, and we're not going to speak specifically on them, but how do, in 2026, with your mental health, with social media, with these apps, how do you navigate that space of having this self-identity and working on yourself without being weaponized? Or like, I'm working on myself, and if I'm emotionally, if I express my emotions, I might be looked at as a man who is not as masculine, and I think that's culturally happening now, that men are expressing themselves and they're like, the men are the girls, and it's like, relax.
They have feelings. Yeah. In my work, it's more about community.
Okay.
Right? So not necessarily dating specific or things specific to that, but more, what is the community that you want? How do you establish it, and who do you want to be in that, right? So kind of like what I was saying, when someone comes to work, it's figuring out who is it that you want to be and holding you accountable to that. So in the dating space, it is like, if you know this person creates a feeling in you that makes you question yourself, makes you doubt, or too excited, makes you a little too here, then I'm like, wait, okay, let's on this next date, let's do this type of activity. Let's not drink on this next date. Let's just evaluate how you feel in this person's presence, because outside of dating, we're trying to build community. And your community needs to be something where you feel safe, so that loneliness piece isn't happening. So you're not questioning things, so that people, especially new people, aren't able to come in and instill some things in you that we're going to have to go and undo and work out. So the focus for our work is community and how you show up in that space.
I think my biggest question is like, when you are dating, because it's a big priority for people. If it's not, if we're not obsessing about being single, we're obsessing about the next step of being proposed to. If we're not obsessing about proposal, we're obsessing about the marriage and all of that. When we're married, we're obsessing about the kid. When we're have the kids and the marriage, then we're obsessing about like, what are people who are single doing? So it's this cycle of like, you're not really happy where you're at. And the next step is like, let's chase this versus be much more present here.
Yeah, that's the work, right? That we then work on being present, being mindful. And why are you chasing it, right? Interrogating stuff. That, okay, this is the next thing, but did you celebrate the other thing you did? Remember that one time you wanted to be in a relationship and now you're in a relationship with someone that you actually like? Oh, can we sit there?
Yeah.
Right?
Can we sit there long enough? Like, even when you think you've sat there long enough, sit there even longer.
Yeah, it's mainly when we're chasing this other thing, it blinds us. And that's anything, right? So even if you're driving and you're rushing to get to stoplight 3 and you're at stoplight 1, you might miss the person walking across the street because you're looking at stoplight 3.
Yeah.
Right? And so with the dating piece, with building a relationship of any sort, it is sitting long enough to see, do I actually like them? Right? Not like, okay, they're nice. Like, oh, we're going to get married. Do you like them?
Do you actually like them, or do you like that you're not alone?
Do you like the idea of them? But furthermore, do you like you with them?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have many folks, they start dating someone, and I always say it, if they disappear, that's not for them. If my clients start dating someone and then they disappear, that person is not for them.
Wait, the client disappears?
If the client disappears.
You think like Bookie gonna be back, but until then, really,
like clockwork. Because what happens with my clients is honesty, right? And it's accountability.
Yeah, and
so
you
if you tell me,
accountable.
You tell me, hey, I want to do X, Y, Z, or this is who I am, and I see you dating someone that doesn't meet. And we go through non-negotiables, and I don't mean like, oh, I want them to be 6 foot, or I want her to have none of that. Those are things you want, right?
Nice
but
to have.
The non-negotiables of the way in which you want to be treated, the values that are deep for you, and they don't align. They know I'm gonna say, well, you remember that one time we went through our values, and this person doesn't value family, and that's really big for you. And this person doesn't really value work ethic. And they struggle with how much you work, or there's always some conflict there. They disappear and they come back, and I'm like, what's going on?
Well, me and such broke up, and you're like, welcome back.
It's not even, it's more of a, what happened in that interim that we may need to work through, right? Like, were you hurt? Because most times when folks are disappearing, they know, we all know, that like, there's something here is not right, but I like it. So I'm gonna go with it. And so when they come back, it's really figuring out, okay, were you hurt in any way? Are there emotional scars that we need to deal with? Have you stayed in a situation where you've been mistreated and now we have to undo this idea that that's all you deserve, to be mistreated? And it's not a thought that people are like, oh yeah, all I deserve is mistreated, but it's that subconscious
There's
doubt.
the inner bully who's actually saying all these things that you're thinking, and so it's like you don't, like I said again, therapy is this opportunity for this huge mirror that points itself to you. You're holding up your own mirror, and it's like, what's that right there? I see it, and you're like, oh, I don't see it, and it's like, yes, you do. Yeah. You see it, and it also makes you more self-aware.
I think it's self-awareness, but also having a good relationship, right? Like, therapy is also a relationship. So unlike seeing your medical doctor, you may have a relationship with them, but most people are like, I go for my checkup, I get my shot or whatever, and that's the end of it. Whereas therapy is a relationship that has an intimacy to it, and not a sexual intimacy or anything like that, but an intimacy of care and depth and safety. Yeah. And so when you have that, you know that, you know, maybe we do see the thing in the mirror and we acknowledge it, but you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
So, okay, what are some other things that you see on surface that we can talk through, we can process through? That's it.
Yeah. This space that we're creating is that gap filler. So the reason I'm sharing or asking certain questions is because it's like, we know you are bombarded with clickbait. The dopamine hits are people who are talking about dating, relationships, where you should be, your next step. You should be, this is the habit that you should be incorporating. This is the self-help book that you should be reading. But the other aspect of this is like talking to someone who has a viewpoint that's outside of your situation. Like, I think sometimes we're so fixated and we want our friends to have this feel of being our therapist. And I think on Sex and the City, Samantha goes, we're as fucked up as you are. Like, do not bring all of this. Like Carrie says, you're my therapist. And Samantha's like, girl, no. If you don't go talk to somebody, we tired of hearing it. But we have to be there for you. And if we tell you we're tired of hearing it, then you're like, you're against me. And it's like, no, I think you should. This is a space that you are so valid in exactly how you feel. Go talk to someone who has the experience to help you on that path, and you feel validated. And I'm saying that again to that you're not crazy, because sometimes you do feel crazy.
It allows therapy, talking to people in general, being vulnerable in general, allows you the opportunity to realize you're not the only one going through it. And there's something, you know, the statement, misery loves company. So does experience. All right. So you experience a win, you experience grief, you experience whatever. It's something very comforting to know I'm not the only one, or for someone to reiterate to you that you're not actually crazy.
Yeah.
No, your brain works a particular way. You've experienced some things that make it very difficult for you to show up in certain ways that people expect you to. That doesn't make you crazy. And I can tell you that because I literally talk to people all day long. All right. And I have folks that's like, oh, I know you think I'm crazy. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I've seen the crazy spectrum. You're like, Brad, there. I'm just playing.
It's like, no.
And you do a really good job of helping people realize, like, give yourself grace. I think if there's anything you can be known for, it's just this calming feeling of like, just give yourself grace. And like I said, the purpose of holding this conversation is to fill the gap. If you're not there yet, what can we do to push you over the edge? This is not saying go seek Jatana's help. This is go seek anyone's help. Do you have someone to talk through hardship and challenges? Like if you lose your job, that is a traumatic experience. Yes, most people will experience it.
Yeah.
When it happens, it's still traumatic and it's your trauma, right? If you deal with a breakup or a heartbreak or something, like just being like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to lock in.
Yeah, I'm going to power my way through.
Yeah. It's like what you did was say, we're going to sweep this under the rug, throw the rug, pull it over, and everybody's in the room like, you don't see that thing over there that's blocking?
Tripped over it 3 times.
You keep tripping over it. And then it also, like, I think what therapy helps you do is meet the current version of yourself, love the current version of yourself, and then go into relationships that do radiate and come your way. A more healthier version. You're always evolving, but you're able to look at this person, like you said, when you're having conversations and saying, this person doesn't have the same values, this person doesn't have the same this is what you said you like, this is the version of yourself you said you wanted to be, and this goes against all those things. It makes you start to really show up with who you say you want to be. Become in that growth, you're able to see that growth, and then healthy relationships find you, healthy friendships find you, healthy business opportunities find you, healthy jobs find. It's like just all this health, and you're not sitting in chaos and survival mode.
Yeah. I think it's nuance, right? I think talking about conversations around mental health and therapy buzzwords and things that are on social media are so nuanced, and we do have this awareness about it all now, but we don't have the nuance of it. And the nuance is the individual relationship. And I don't always think that has to be a traditional therapy, right? It can be group, it can be coaching, it can be a mentorship, but a space where you are actually checking in on yourself, you're being honest with yourself and being vulnerable, and you have someone that comes back and says, hey, maybe we should do something different. Or remember when you said, like, let's hold that accountability there. And having that community too is super important. In the therapeutic space, something that I'm very weary about is that everyone thinks, oh, go to therapy. And sometimes people need something more than outpatient therapy, right? Which is what my practice is. We provide, essentially, you talk to a therapist once a week and that's it. But you may need higher levels of care. That's hospitalization, that may be rehab, that may be a number of things. And those things don't make you crazy. It is just care, right? So if I sprain my ankle, I may go to urgent care. But if I break my foot, I'm probably going to the ER, right?
Yeah.
If I need PT, right? Like, so I'm going to do the things to care for myself. And so something that I kind of speak into that nuance around therapy online and social media versus in real life, sometimes it's not this.
Right. It's not just talk therapy. It's somatic therapy. It's psychiatry. Like
but higher levels of care. Even. So speaking to the suicidality, right? That people are like, oh, well, you just need to go see a therapist. Sure. And that therapist may refer you to be in a place that is going to maintain your safety, that allows you to focus solely on your mental health. Not the stress of the job, not the stress of the kids, not the stress of the friendships. Just you and making you focus.
Do you think sometimes people are scared that they may go to that extreme, and that's why they won't even take the first step?
I think people are absolutely scared of that. And I think people who care about people are scared of that as well. And my thing with that is, I would rather you be angry with me and literally never speak to me again and be alive. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If you decide you never want to work with me again because I hospitalized you, I'm okay with that as well. I'm not going to do that in a way that's going to hinder you, right? Like, I'm not going to say, oh, well, she's crazy. No, I am concerned about her safety. And based on these things of concern, I think we need a higher level of care, right? I tell all of my clients, they know that's not something I'm going to just
jump for day one.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And we're going to have a conversation about it because there's still autonomy, right? But if you're not in a mental headspace to take care of yourself and to remain safe, I am absolutely going to help you find safety, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And so when I say that around nuance, because I think, right now therapy is such a trending thing.
It's a buzz. Yeah.
And I love that. People, it's nuanced as well. And that means you have to have an individual relationship with someone that you trust, that you know cares about you and your best interest, and vice versa. And there's some mutual respect so that you can become who it is you want to be.
Yeah. As we close, I think as you were talking, I had this thought of like, just like with anything, you have to prioritize it. And when you first consider therapy or whatever it is, because before, I've had seasons of my life where I was in therapy. I've worked with a life coach who we got to a point that they were like, hey, I think you need to see a therapist. Yep. And so all of them work alongside each other. But it's like, if you have a plate and you have your protein and your veggies and your carbs or whatever, you have to make room for it. Just like when you're intentionally dating, you have to make room for it with your life. You have to consider your workouts, your professionalism, if you like, wherever you are. And I think when it comes to mental health, you have to put that on your plate as well. If it's your financial health, your mental health, your physical health, your social health, they all go together, and you have to look at each one and say, what did I put in this bucket today? And if you go a week and you ain't putting nothing in the bucket, it's like,
Yeah.
babe. And if you correlate it to your bank account, if your bank account is only making withdrawals and no deposits, the money gonna run out. So if your brain is only making withdrawals, no deposits, you're gonna run out of the capacity to hold anything. So I'm gonna leave y'all on that. Jatana, can you share your socials, how people can connect with you if they have questions?
Yeah.
Because I personally am not a mental health professional. I am a mental health advocate. And I will always point you in the direction. I got an arsenal. If you say, hey, Jazz, I need help with I'm going to point you in the direction because Jatana knows your girl is connected with every single one. And I got people who are going to take care of you. And you are, just off the name alone, they like, yes, these are my people.
Yeah.
So always remember that, like, we are a resource. This is a space that we are going to bring you a bit more awareness so that you can put a plan together to execute and have action, be in motion. Okay?
Yes. So you can find all of contact information for me at jokoyewellness.com. That's JOKOYE wellness. Same on Instagram, same on all the social platforms, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. And you can email me. You can call me. I love connecting people with good clinicians that fit their needs, fit where they're at, and that fit all the logistical things as well. So reach out.
Well, thank you guys. It's been an amazing, comfortable conversations. Until next time.